Kia ora. Well, these are the temperatures that we had around about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon. This afternoon, well, it's a very different story. 12s and 13s for Canterbury, whereas yesterday we were looking at high 20s and low 30s. So definitely a different feel as we head towards the end of the day. And it's also going to be a fairly wet and windy one through there. Low pressure feeding a fair bit of wet weather on there. The North Island as well, this band of rainfall runs across from the west. Fairly narrow feature will give us back into some clear sky by evening time for places like Auckland and Taranaki. But you can see we've got our next band of wet weather running in from the south and the west by the end of the day. And this low pressure continues to feed rainfall in towards Canterbury and some stronger winds around that Canterbury coast, particularly those areas north of the Rangitata River up towards the Kaikoura coast. As we head through the night time, this low pressure stays pretty close by, keeps hold of that wet weather around those middle parts of the country. A brief break between this band of rain and our next one coming in from the south for places like Taranaki and Whanganui. But I think we'll find the start of the day tomorrow has some showers and spells of rain, whereas up towards Northland and Auckland, some clearer skies through the night time. We have got some heavy rain though. Some of that rain pushing through towards Canterbury could well be on the heavier side, so it's something to watch out for. We have a heavy rain watch for those areas north of the Rangitata River up through Canterbury. That's from 1 p.m. on today, Tuesday, through to the early hours of Wednesday morning. Similarly, we're also going to find that low pressure centred through here, a good squeeze of winds around that eastern coast, particularly for places like Banks Peninsula and out towards the Kaikoura Peninsula. So we've also got this strong wind watch that hugs the coast of Canterbury through this afternoon and into the early hours of Wednesday morning. So I think there's going to be something to watch out for, but one of the bit of a blessings of this cooler air will be a much more comfortable night, particularly for places like Canterbury and Otago, which had a really warm, muggy night last night. Tonight our lows back to around about 7 or 9 degrees Celsius. That low pressure stays close by tomorrow. It keeps up wet weather through parts of Marlborough, Wellington, Wairarapa, and also spells of rain running up across that western side of the North Island as well. You can see though, it does pull away quite nicely to the north, leaving behind some dry weather behind it, but we'll still keep hold of this rather messy setup around the middle parts of the country as we head through the daytime. In the far southern parts of the country and along that western coast of the South Island, well, generally you've got a fine day. Not a bad looking story at all. For the North Island, we'll find a bit of a break between this first band of wet weather that clears through this afternoon and this next area of rain or showers that feeds up across the west. Now, it is still going to be quite showery, I think, so not for everyone, but I think we are going to find a bit of a showery setup through there. Some wetter weather running through Auckland as we head through the afternoon, pulling away by the evening. More of an unsettled story for Wellington, Wairarapa, with that low pressure close by. We'll find our winds increasing during the afternoon, turning more southerly. Some showers or spells of rain on and off through the daytime as well. And temperatures in the capital reaching highs of about 16 degrees Celsius, but feeling colder in those winds. Heading northwards, we'll find our highs back to around about 21, perhaps 22 degrees Celsius for Auckland. And our overnight lows back on towards the cool side, even dipping back down into single figures for places like Rotorua and Taupo. Down on the south side, well, most of the activity will be in these northern parts of the country, northern parts of the island through the first part of the day. So for places like Christchurch up towards Kaikoura and Blenheim, we'll find it's a wet start to the day. Showers and those stronger winds around the eastern coast. But things will gradually get better as we head through the afternoon. The rain will start to ease off and clear away from particularly places like Christchurch, just taking its time to clear from Marlborough and through the ranges through there. On the other side of the hills, down through places like Motueka, down towards the west coast and right down the far south. Generally it stays fine, dry and sunny through the daytime. A touch more cloud around these eastern coasts, but even places like Dunedin looking much better. But it's perhaps not going to be quite as nice up where we have that wetter weather. Temperatures here a little bit more suppressed, 16 degrees Celsius for Kaikoura compared to say 21 or so in Queenstown. Looking ahead into Thursday, you can see for the bulk of the country there's plenty of dry weather. This wet weather though, still with an area of low pressure, wrapping that wind and wet weather in towards places like the Wairoa district and up towards Gisborne, Tairāwhiti. So I think those areas perhaps keeping hold of some wetter weather through the daytime on Thursday. But you can see those hills and ranges acting as a really good block to most of the wet, cloudy weather, and the other side of the hills across many parts of the North Island in for a dry, fine day on Thursday. A similar story down south for Thursday. That's it from me. This is from metservice.com.